Okay, hello and welcome to this one. This is about mechanics. Make a friend of a mechanic. Yeah. First of all, so I'm sitting in the studio here, which is on a rainy day in the UK. It's not normal at the moment. We seem to have an excessive amount of rain. Got my friend Bob. Yeah, you know Bob, don't you? Bug out bag. That's for my camera stuff, and that's a cheap bag. Yeah, I don't want it to last too long. Right, so let's talk about making friends with a mechanic, okay? And I'm not going to give you specific rules, but I'm going to make it clear from a mechanic's point of view, okay? Now, I'm not representative of everybody in the trade, even though I'm wearing the Snap-on hat, which I actually earned, yes, because I do buy Snap-on tools. The thing is that, especially in the UK, it seems that people devalue another person's labour rates when they are desperate and they need help and they can't afford to use a garage, for instance, and they can't fix something themselves. What they'll do is they'll find somebody like myself, call them in for a little bit of help as such. Now, there are guys that will help and they will put themselves out of the way to help other people, but you find that that's actually quite limiting. The guys that want to help and will go out of the way, the ones that are looking for experience with motor vehicles, okay? So that's the DIYer or the young apprentice who will work for nothing, basically, just to get the experience. And that is a journey that a mechanic will go through, just so he can gain that experience and do things. But the problem there is you have a guy who's possibly inept, might cause more problems than it's worth, might do something wrong, or he could do something really well. That's a very unknown. But more mature technicians like myself, we tend to want to be paid what we're worth, okay, which is actually more than our hourly rate. Yeah, so say, for instance, I was getting paid £15 an hour. That's not true, but say I was getting paid £15 an hour. Out of that, I have to pay tax and everything, so it will go down 1/3. Okay, so the government rakes a bit out of that, and then of course as you go along spending money, yeah, you're paying tax all the time. So it's nice to get money back which you can do that's tax-free. That's just a thing that's done. Unfortunately, with this digital age now, they're trying to stamp that out, which is another way, or is opening the doors up for bartering. Yeah, trade for trade. It's possible to do. It's possible to do. And of course, if you have a friend who's a mechanic and the guy's a builder, then obviously you can trade pieces if you're good friends. Yeah, acquaintance, it's a totally different matter. But I would expect to be paid more than my hourly rate, because when I work in a workshop, I have everything there at hand, or it can be delivered. Whereas I'm working at home, then I have to take that extra effort to bring stuff home to be able to do the jobs, especially if they're big jobs, okay? Like brake relines, stuff like that. You need jacks and axle stands as well as some equipment. So yes, that actually needs resources putting into that on top of the money that's paid as a wage, if you like. So I would say that if somebody came to me and said, can you do my brakes for me, front pads and disc reline? Yes, okay, I'll do it for you, but that's £20 an hour, okay? Might take me 2 hours, that's £40. Some people will take a sharp sucking in a breath and say, oh, I can't afford that. But when you take into consideration that garage costs are 80, 90, 140 pounds per hour, that's actually incredibly cheap, of course. Yeah. But you know what it is when somebody does that, they want to not pay at all. They want somebody to do the labour, do it cheap, so they're saving money instead of doing it themselves. Maybe they're inept, they can't do it. Yeah. So how I work, basically, acquaintances, people that I meet for the first time, they're always curious about you. They always want to know what you do for a living, don't they? Yeah. And I generally try not to tell them. I'll just say, yeah, well, I work. Yeah, you know, I know it's a bit sarcastic, but it's like, you don't want to know. There's two reasons for that. One, they want to know what sort of status and income you have, yeah, which is a bit of probing beyond what you're wearing. And the other one is to see how they can use you. Yeah, so if, for instance, I say, yeah, well, actually, I'm a motor mechanic, I'm a commercial vehicle mechanic, then they'll be whirring away in their head, oh, hang on a minute, I've got this and that to do. And I find it all the time. My landlord, he wanted some welding doing straight away. And I said, no, mate, I don't weld people's vehicles. I do, but the trouble involved in it is it's just not worth my time and my effort. Yeah, but I've met people who have found out what I do, and then they've start telling me their problems about the cars and how many garages they've been to and they still haven't had their vehicle resolved, etc, etc. Yeah, so generally what I do is I don't lie. I say, yes, well actually I work on pressure vessels. I'm a tanker specialist, okay, which it means just repairing tankers, which is true. It's what I do, that's part of my job. But yeah, of course I can repair vehicles, but you'll always find the people who've got those odd problems that no garage can solve, and a lot of the time they don't want to pay the money for the garage to actually rectify the problem. They want a cheaper alternative. Yeah, so you see my perspective of what I'm trying to say. I'm very guarded about what I do, unless it's people that I know that can do vehicles themselves. I will help them out. I'll lend them a tool or something like that if they're trusted, yeah, or I will refer them to somebody else that I know, knowing that I don't have to deal with it. Of course, if they come up and say, yeah, I'm willing to pay you £20 an hour, can you do diagnostics on my vehicle and a regen, something like that? Yes, okay. Now, with the mechanics, we have to buy our own equipment, which is an investment, yes. So every hour that we work, we have to pay for the tools we've got. And of course, some of us, and I'll show you this is a diagnostics tool, okay, which, yeah, we're talking £2,000 for this and a subscription. So for somebody to come along, this happens quite often, even in the trade, they expect the diagnostics to be done free for them. Okay, I had neighbours like this, where, oh, can you just plug in this with your machine? Yes, my machine cost £30 a month subscription, so let me divide this out. This is going to cost you £50. They run away straight away because they don't want to pay it, yeah? Well, £50, they could go and buy themselves a cheap diagnostic kit and probably actually solve the problem, but they want to also use my knowledge and all the advice and then try to rope me into it, yeah? Which sometimes I have to play it by ear and see what sort of person they are and see how generous they are. And I'll do little bits for them and see what comes back. If I get nothing back, they get nothing at all. Yeah, it's as simple as that. So I'm always testing the waters, okay? Now, I know there's a lot of people who don't trust garages. You may be one of those. You've heard horror stories. You might not be able to do your own vehicle. Therefore, you have to rely on somebody else. And I've seen this, and this is with my ex as well. When we split up, she just went on the internet and got a cheap service and ended up getting ripped off at the end of the day. Where she should have paid £80 for an oil filter change, she ended up paying a horrendous amount because they did all sorts of work on the vehicle without her authorization. Yeah. So what you need to do, if you are fairly competent with your vehicle but there are things you can't do, then you need to start to find mechanics and garages that are actually good what they're worth. Yes, there are terrible technicians out there, and yes, there are terrible customers as well that don't want to pay money. They want to use and abuse, okay? So it works both ways. And I know from one point of view there are horror stories about technicians that have done really shoddy jobs, and on the other way there are stories of where customers have taken a horrendous amount of work offers with the knowledge that they know that they're not going to pay the invoice when it's presented to them. Yeah, so it's one way and another. So the trust has to be built up. And the best way to do it, first of all, is to have simple jobs done on a garage, or done in a garage, should I say. One of these is MOTs. In the UK, we have an MOT test. I think in Germany have a TUV. I'm not sure about the rest of Europe and America. But you have a test, a safety test for your vehicle. You get issued a certificate, okay? So you build up a relationship with the garage doing that by taking it once a year, getting your MOT, and then seeing how reasonable the garage is. Some places will want to get extra work out of you. Some garages will give you advisories, but you start to build up something. So you've had an MOT test, you go in there, have an oil and filter change and an inspection first of all, and then see how they work. You should never pay for anything you don't agree with, and you should always discuss this with the garage first of all and state very clearly that I do not want extra work done. Notify me first of all, and then I will see from there, okay? Which is good. Some of the main dealers, actually, this is what they do just as routine. I had this with a car which had a timing belt fitted to it. This was a Citroen garage, and they said, they rang me up. This was somebody else's vehicle. She referred them to me, rang me up and asked if it was okay to put an alternator belt on, and it will cost £28 extra with no extra labour costs, which I said, yeah, actually that's okay, do that now, because it's going to cost that much anyway. Now the lady in question who had the car, she came to me because she trusts my knowledge, okay? And I said I wouldn't want the job, didn't have the time, so she put it in a main dealer. The job was done very efficiently and there was no extra costs involved, whereas some of the cheaper garages, what they do is they try to look for work to do on your vehicle, and they will put all those extras on the job, on the bill, consumables and everything else, that suddenly is a shock to some people. So they'll look at it and go, oh my God, I paid that much for that vehicle? Yeah, this is where people get caught out. So you have to go in small, first of all, and start to build up that relationship. If, for instance, you are the type of person who has or wants a mechanic friend that you can rely on when you need him, then you need to be able to give as well. Very, very important. And I know this will put some people's backs up, but you have to value people's time as much as you value your own time. All those little tips and everything else, you pay them, maybe give them a tray of eggs as well, you know, free range home done eggs. Yeah, they appreciate that sort of thing, because then you've given them and you've told them, we appreciate what you're doing for us, thank you very much. The next time you have a problem, they're there straight away. Whereas the stingy person who doesn't pay much at all, or penny pinchers they call it, and that's stretching out the penny just that little bit more to give to people, that doesn't work. That actually repels the mechanic. So yes, this is what I'm telling you. Yeah, don't expect a mechanic to drop everything and come running to you if he's your next door neighbour or he's your friend, because sometimes they feel like they're being put in an awkward position to oblige. Yeah, which means, okay, I'm your friend, I have to do it. But why should they have to do it? Why should they have to do it? So with this channel, yeah, I'm helping you to understand about your vehicle, how to do it yourself and how to work out your maintenance. So if you're not apt at the start, okay, then you have to rely on somebody else, and you're going to have to pay them. You're going to have to pay them. It's as simple as that. You would want paying, wouldn't you, for the work you do, or at least trading? So it should be reciprocal. And I know a lot of people watching this will say, yeah, actually, yeah, I do. I got mechanic mates that are really good. Yeah. But there are the other cheapskates, as I'm saying. There are, on the other side, there are some bad technicians as well, and how they keep their jobs, I do not know. But they like to cut corners and they like to take risks, and then when they get caught out, they make excuses, you know. But they're a dying breed. They don't last very long in good workshops. So any garage, for instance, that is busy is good, because people are going there. A quiet garage that's cheap is probably desperate, yeah, and they will take any job in and then maybe rip them off. Yeah, so you have to be very, very careful. Right, so anyway, I've left you with this thought, just thinking about it. Rewarded will always reward you back in kind, always, always. So take it from me. As I say, I'm only speaking for myself, but a lot of mechanics will say exactly the same thing. We want to be valued for the time that we put into the jobs that we do, and taking into regard that we have to pay for all our equipment and spanners and everything else. That all has to be taken into account as well. Okay, so anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. This gives you a little bit of food for thought. We will be doing practicals later when the weather gets better, if it ever gets better in the UK. I don't know, we're having rain all the time. Yeah, so anyway, all right, take it easy and I'll see you in the next video. All right.